Every dollar in your wallet is a promise. Not a thing. A promise. And here's the part nobody tells you, that promise only exists because someone, somewhere, owes it back. Sit with that for a second. The $20 bill in your pocket isn't wealth sitting still. It's a debt in motion. And if every debt on earth were paid off tomorrow, all of it, every mortgage, every loan, every line of credit, something strange would happen. Money would disappear. Not lose value. Disappear. Cease to exist. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just how the system is built. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with why this matters right now, in 2026, not as some abstract economics lecture, but as something that's actually squeezing your life. Global debt just crossed $320 trillion. That's not government debt alone. That's households, companies, banks, everyone, stacked together. To put that in perspective, the entire world produces around $105 trillion worth of goods and services in a year. So global debt is roughly 3 times what the whole planet earns annually. And yet, somehow, the system keeps running. Prices keep rising. Banks keep lending. People keep borrowing. Nobody panics. Why? Because the entire monetary system was never designed to be paid off. It was designed to be rolled over. Forever. That sentence should bother you more than it probably does. So let's rewind, and build this thing from the ground up, the way it actually works, not the way it's taught in a textbook. Imagine there's no money yet. Just you, me, and a village. I grow wheat. You make shoes. We trade. Simple. But trade like that is clunky. What if I need shoes before your wheat harvest? What if you don't want wheat, you want fish? Eventually someone says, let's use something everyone accepts. Gold. Silver. Shells. Doesn't matter what, as long as everyone agrees it has value. That's money version 1. A physical thing, scarce, hard to fake, easy to carry. Fine. Then banking shows up. And banking introduces a much more interesting idea. What if I don't hand you gold? What if I hand you a piece of paper that says, this bank owes you gold, redeemable anytime? That paper is easier to carry than gold. So people start using the paper instead of the gold itself. And the bank notices something. Most people never actually come back for their gold at the same time. So the bank starts lending out more paper promises than the gold it actually holds. That's not fraud. That's fractional reserve banking. And it's still exactly how banks operate today, just without the gold. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. When a bank gives you a loan, say $50,000 for a business, it doesn't pull that $50,000 out of some vault where other people's savings are sitting untouched. It creates it. New. Out of nothing. A few keystrokes. That $50,000 didn't exist 5 minutes ago, and now it does, sitting in your account, ready to be spent. The Bank of England actually confirmed this openly in a paper years ago. Most people assume banks lend out deposits. In reality, loans create deposits. The act of lending is the act of creating money. Let that land. Almost every dollar in circulation was born as someone's debt. So now you, the borrower, owe the bank $50,000, plus interest. But wait. The interest was never created. Only the principal was. Say that again slowly. The bank creates the loan amount. It does not create the interest that comes with it. So where is that interest supposed to come from? From the rest of the economy. From other people's loans. From other people's spending. From other businesses circulating the same limited pool of dollars fast enough that eventually some of it lands in your hands so you can pay the bank back more than it gave you. This is the part most people never connect. The system requires constant new borrowing, just to generate enough money for old borrowing to be repaid with interest. It's not a bug. It's the architecture. Which means the economy isn't just encouraged to keep growing. It's mathematically required to. If borrowing ever stops, if everyone collectively decided to pay off debt and stop taking new loans, the money supply would shrink, businesses would struggle to find dollars to repay what they owe, defaults would spike, and the system would seize up. We actually got a preview of this. 2008, it wasn't really a housing crisis at its core. It was a moment where trust in debt itself cracked. Banks stopped believing other banks could repay. Lending froze. And when lending froze, money itself effectively started vanishing from the system. Not because gold disappeared. Because promises stopped being trusted. Central banks had to step in and do something almost absurd if you think about it plainly. They created trillions of new dollars, just to keep the promise machine running. Here's the irony nobody likes to say out loud. The system that panics when debt disappears is the same system that panics when debt grows too large. It needs debt like a fire needs oxygen. Too little, it dies. Too much, it burns out of control. Now let's talk about hype versus reality, because this is where public understanding really falls apart. The hype version goes like this. National debt is scary, but don't worry, the economy will grow into it. Interest rates will normalize. It's manageable. It's always been manageable. Just look at history. The reality is messy. The United States alone now pays over $1 trillion a year just in interest on its national debt. Not the debt itself. Just the interest. That number recently surpassed what the country spends on its entire military budget. Think about that. The cost of servicing old promises now exceeds the cost of national defense. And it's not just governments. Household debt in many developed countries is at record highs. Credit card balances, auto loans, student loans, all climbing, while real wages struggle to keep pace with inflation. People aren't spending because they feel wealthy. Many are spending because the system nudges them to borrow just to maintain a normal life. Rent, groceries, tuition, medical bills. Debt has quietly become a basic utility, like electricity or water. There's a strange kind of dark humor in that, if you step back far enough. We built a civilization where owing money is considered financially responsible, as long as you owe the right amount, to the right people, on the right schedule. Miss a payment, you're irresponsible. Take on the exact recommended amount of debt, you're a good citizen with a healthy credit score. Now zoom out further, because this is where the real stakes are. If the entire modern economy runs on expanding debt, then growth isn't just a goal. It's a requirement for survival. GDP has to keep climbing. Populations, in theory, have to keep growing to produce more borrowers and more workers to service old debt. Consumption has to keep rising. But we live on a planet with finite resources. Finite land. Finite energy. Finite patience, frankly, from people who are tired of running just to stay in place. So here's the quiet tension sitting underneath the entire global financial system. It was built assuming infinite growth on a finite planet, powered by a currency that only exists because someone, somewhere, is willing to go into debt. Some economists call this unsustainable. Others call it simply how complex economies function, and always will. Both camps have data. Both camps have followers. Neither has fully convinced the other. What we do know is this. Every recession in modern history has, at its core, involved some version of the same event. Debt grew faster than the ability to repay it, trust cracked, and money, real spendable money, briefly seemed to vanish from the system until someone, usually a central bank, stepped in and manufactured more of it. So when you hold a dollar, a rupee, a euro, whatever currency sits in your pocket right now, you're not holding value in the way people assume. You're holding a claim. A claim on someone else's future labor, someone else's future repayment, someone else's future promise to make good on debt. And that raises the question this entire system quietly depends on us never asking too loudly. If every dollar requires someone else's debt to exist, what exactly happens the day the world runs out of people willing, or able, to owe it?